Hey, I'm Justin.
This is Chaz.
Join us as we look back together, but learn to stay present.
Come with us as we rise up with hope on the horizon.
This is the podcast of extraordinary millennial gentlemen.
SeaBass said he's going to cover your tip. If that man's SeaBass.
Yeah. Okay, wait. What's your code name for real though?
Bob Barker.
Bob.
I hate that Bob Barker.
Bob. SeaBass. SeaBass was just telling me about that very movie you watched recently, right?
That's right. A few days ago, it was classic. A lot of deep gut laughs. You know, a lot of years of nostalgia coming forth with the tears. It was great.
Yes. Why don't you have a bite of burger and tell us all about it?
Pills are good.
Oh, man.
Pills. There you go.
Don't worry, Harry. I took care of it. I thought it was just a quiet bird.
That's right. Casual way to start out. Some baseball cards. Petey. We're back for another Codename SeaBass. Good friend of mine. Acquaintance of Chaz's as well. Going back many moons.
Yeah.
Many much moons.
Many Mooney Janes ago.
Many Mooney Janes. Wow. That's true. Everybody out there, full disclaimer, there may be a lot of inside jokes that get thrown around here. But I guess you just had to have been there. I don't know.
Yeah.
Makes me think of that episode of The Office when Michael's like, I love inside jokes. Love to be part of one someday. It's probably what the audience will be thinking today.
Oh, yeah.
But we continue on with talking to some of our friends and acquaintances, fellow members of society who had unique perspectives. And so, SeaBass, I have to start with this first question, and I'll try not to laugh when I say SeaBass, codename SeaBass. I like to ask people to just tell us a little bit about where you're from and how you grew up.
All right. Well, I'm from all over. My dad was in the Army. And so I grew up overseas a lot, and also Oconus and Conus, so continental United States and overseas. Germany, Kansas, California. Currently, I'm back east. What else do you want to know?
No, that's all over.
Yeah, all over.
I caught Kansas, Germany, California. Beautiful.
I thought the Rocky Mountains would be a little more rockier than this.
That's right. You've seen a lot of Rocky Mountains. I want to know then how you developed your sense of humor. Because, SeaBass, you and Chaz and I have a kind of similar sense of humor. We find many of the same things funny, but I'm wondering from your background, how do you think that kind of developed?
Well, first off, I think it started with my father. He has a unique sense of humor.
Like dry, stereotypical military type of humor?
Yeah, like he'll joke with you. He'll make fun of you. Not to where your feelings will be hurt necessarily.
Yeah.
But he'll definitely point out something dumb you've done. Or
and laugh about it.
And laugh about it.
Yeah.
Or just silly jokes, you know. For example, I recall this distinctly. We were wrestling. I think I was at 14 or 15. And I'm like, come on, old man, let's do this. And he's like, whatever, you know, young puck. I'll tell you how it's going on. So we were wrestling. I was winning. And I said, I bet you can't catch me. I'm faster than you. I was running away. He picked up a rock. He said, you can't outrun this rock. And he threw the rock at me. And he hit me. So that's my dad's sense of humor. Like, you can outrun me. You can't outrun this rock. Right?
Oh. Like it. He would not be outdone. Oh, that's
That-
good.
So yeah, so my sense of humor originated from my father's side of the family. They're jokesters.
Do they play pranks on you?
Absolutely, and it's
Okay.
expected. That's their culture of initiation.
Nice.
Right?
Okay.
And so again, big sense of humor. You can't take things too seriously. Nothing's intended with malice.
Right. That sounds a lot like Chaz's family.
I was going to say
your
my
mom's
family's sounding like they would have done really well in the military. like nobody has really gone, not to say they shouldn't have, or anything, but yeah, man, they fit just right in. So I guess my grandpa, he was
Yes.
he was on a aircraft carrier in the boiler rooms. So I guess he did serve for a part of his life. Maybe that's where that comes from. I wonder. Yeah.
I can recall, Chaz, your family, one of the first times I met some of your extended family, them referring to me as Chad, which I think still stands. I think some of your aunts, uncles,
they'll still refer to you as Chad.
Yeah, may see me and say, "Hey, Chad," which I don't think I've seen them in like 12 years plus.
Right.
But first reference, they'd be like, "Chad, what's going on?" Which is not my name.
Right.
It's okay.
Man,
I look like a Chad. So another question then. So we talked about sense of humor. So what about in your current state of things, SeaBass? What about your values now? I know I told you it's I can see you right now with the trucker hat on, ordering some Boilermakers, codename SeaBass. No, but on a serious note, or not serious, however you want to answer it, but what values do you have, and how do you think your childhood kind of formed those?
Excellent question. I would say duty, right? Growing up in the military family.
Yeah.
What you did. Also a member of a religious organization that instilled values as well, right? Military, church, through my youth, and then being part of Boy Scouts as well.
Hey, there you go. Rest in peace, Boy Scouts.
Right.
Enjoy bankruptcy.
Right. No comment.
Did you go all the way up to Eagle, Chris, with Boy Scouts?
I did.
Nice.
I did.
So right. you too, Justin, or you as well?
Oh no. I was for life. That's all I got. You know, my parents at the time, there were zero social pressures in that effort. And my parents, it wasn't my dad. I think that was really it. My dad was like, "Hey, whatever you want to do, that's fine." And my mom was throwing out like, "If you don't get this accomplishment done, you're not going to get a license." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then my dad's like, "Hey, we got you a car. It's a beater." I'm like, "Oh, hey, I guess I can get my license." So I don't know if they talked a lot about that kind of hold firm to the expectation there. But I think that's an accomplishment. I really do. We come from a culture, the three of us, that it's like, oh yeah, it's just a rite of passage. But as I've grown up in society, it's a big deal. It's not a small thing.
Yeah. I've seen that as well as people are like, oh, you Eagle Scout. It's more of a big deal out in community than I think our, what we maybe grew up with lend it to be, and it's a dying breed.
It's definitely dying.
way other, more reasons that, like, I can't remember the statistic, but it's very low of how many actually get to Eagle out of how many are registered. It's a very, very low percent. So,
well, I'm happy to help skew those numbers for you guys. Well done.
You make us look good.
Thanks for being that outlier there, man.
I'm just bringing the curve. I'm helping the peaks.
Yes.
I'm the valley that helps the peaks.
You're pushing them out.
So, yeah, I'm keeping you guys high up on the mountain. How's the air up there? So duty, I could definitely see that in your background. What about interest? Do you have interest? So if duty is a major value, you got to have some way to kind of decompress maybe and like
re-energize.
refresh, reset.
Yep.
Yes. So what are some of those things you do for that?
Go rock climbing.
Ooh.
Volunteer EMT. So I don't know if that really de-stresses, but
Run away from the duty. I like a stress-free environment where I'm a emergency responder.
I mean, it does take the stress levels down a few notches because, right, you can do what you can do because you're there, right? You help someone, you're their best friend for about half an hour.
Yeah.
And then it's over. Then you wash, rinse, repeat. And
interesting.
Fire station's great. Bunch of great guys and gals. Their own sense of humor, a unique sense of humor. Somewhat morbid.
Do they throw rocks at you?
No, only sharp jabs of words, sir.
Oh, there you go. Gotcha.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Very witty. You have to have a thick skin there. So I say, yeah, that's de-stressing because you can see how you impact society. It's very tangible, right?
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of the work I do is abstract, or there's a lot of moving pieces, and you're just one part of that process.
Yeah.
And so in EMT, it's right there. Someone's bleeding, you help them. Car wreck, you help them. Right? It's just boom, done. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Does it also tie in, just kind of thinking through this, to be a little bit, maybe your day job's more sedentary, where it's more brain based, right? And then that gets you out physically moving, like stuff you can actually do with your body to help protect and serve and help others.
I'd say usually my day job's sedentary. Usually. Yes, the grunts.
Yes.
That's my sedentary spirit crying out.
Save
me.
No, but that's a good point. I mean, you're out. I mean, you have to act, right? You have to take action. You have to make decisions, either as the lead or even as part of the crew, right? If you just sit in the back, what good are you, right? You're useless. So you're right. No, that's a good point. You have to be involved, and it forces you to make decisions. Whereas I think most of our day-to-day jobs, we sit back and let the process unfold, right?
Yeah. You can get kind of trapped in that hamster wheel of, I'm doing my thing and then clock out,
Right.
At least I feel that way sometimes.
Chaz, I don't remember if this was a book you referred me to, but at some point I remember reading a book on kind of organization, how to approach getting things done from a work standpoint. And it talks so much about knowledge work, how the work most of us do, unless we're literally fighting fires, responding to medical emergencies like SeaBass is trying to convey, or you're literally building roads and bridges, metaphorically. Everything else is just knowledge work. It's processes, workflows. It's abstract. Is that resonating? Is that familiar? Is that something you've read up on?
It's getting things done, right? I can't remember something Allen. Yeah, that book.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. I think he makes some. I think you're both making good points here, right? That's just the way industry has gone, right? If you're not there pulling the switches and the levers on the assembly line, it's morphed into call this person, document this, build this report.
Keystrokes.
Yeah. It's
mouse clicks.
Something you have to do with a computer, and you have to use your brain to piece all that together. So I am interested, Chris. I used to be big into rock climbing back in high school. Haven't done it much since, other than a few like youth activities here and there. So you got areas around you? Are you into like the outdoor style? Go into like a climbing gym, bouldering, like all of the above? What's your flavor there with rock climbing?
The indoor gym is just to keep your skills sound, I think. You've been climbing. So they're outdoor climbing, indoor climbing are almost two distinct sports. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Same gear, same knowledge base, but very different application. So for this last year, I've only been doing mainly indoor, and my goal is to find a climbing buddy who climbs outdoors. So
gotcha.
There are a lot of groups around here, but they tend to be more the granola flavor. And that's fine, but it's definitely
Sure.
it's definitely a subculture.
Oh yeah.
Got it.
And you have to be willing to dedicate yourself to that subculture, right? Like climb every week. You know, we have a group
Yeah.
time,
Mhm.
and you're part of the group. And I just, due to my lifestyle, I just can't commit to say, hey, I'm going to be there every Saturday at 5.
Yeah. Right.
Right. I can show up one Saturday, maybe, but
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More
Well,
whatever.
you also don't own a Subaru wagon, do you?
Negative, buddy. Negative. So
Sorry to go with the stereotypes, everybody.
right.
It's an inside joke. I'm telling you. Is that not an inside joke I'm referring to?
It is. It is. Subaru,
Yes.
liberal. Yes. For
Hey,
babies.
we love everybody.
Oh, we do. We do.
Yeah.
We love all
But
God's
no,
creatures, great and small.
That's right. But no, that's that is an interesting observation, though, that within climbing, there's a subculture that you're in that social circle, and therefore you have a bunch of those resources, or you just don't. And if but there's other ways, like you said, find a partner you can go with, and you can get some of those outdoor sessions in.
Mhm.
Right.
Interesting.
No, to answer Chad's question, yeah, so indoor climbing, but there are a lot of places in this area in the vicinity within an hour, 2-3 hours drive, do a lot of outdoor climbing. But because this area is very population dense, you have a lot of weekend warriors, which I throw myself in that category now, sadly.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's go hit the rocks.
You're not granola.
Right, right. Let's go hit the rocks for a half Saturday afternoon. Well, you're in line with 20 other people to hit like the 5 routes that are anchored in.
Yeah.
Huh.
So you
Then
can
it
wait in
starts to
line,
feel, yeah.
or
It starts to
and
sound
then
a
you have
little bit
greasy
like
holds.
Disney World.
Right, right. At some points it is. And then you have the people who don't know what they're doing, but they think it's cool, right? Because they do it for their Facebook or their Instagram or Twitter, whatever, right? I'm rock climbing this weekend, and they're not really rock climbing. They bought all the gear, but they're not climbing. They're there for the shot. Right. So you have that end of the spectrum. Then you have the other end, where the hardcore granola people who've been climbing for 50 years.
Yeah.
They created the routes.
Yeah.
And there's people like me just in the middle, just trying to do their thing.
Yeah.
You say you're somewhere in between. You still have your fingernails, and you don't like to wait in lines. Got it.
Right.
Somewhere in that spectrum.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. I am thinking back some of the earlier things and kind of the work piece conversation we had. It sounds like there may be something here in this question, but just kind of thinking through like a major life lesson or lessons learned, and maybe that was a spin of a negative to a positive situation, or if there's just something that you feel you've learned, a big lesson learned in life, from your perspective, that you might share with us, the audience. Could be work, personal, wherever. I think most of it, at least I know I've got some major lessons I've learned in my life.
Yeah, I'd say my divorce.
Okay.
I would classify that as a failure. Yeah.
You went right
out
after
there.
it.
Hey, that's right. That's right. I would say just learning how to pick yourself up after a failure, and then recognizing that after you do all you can still lose the fight. And that was a tough lesson to learn.
Yeah.
That if you do everything in your power, everything you know how, and you
after giving it your all, you can still lose.
Right. Right.
And you don't go to granola
go ahead.
at that low point.
Not yet. Not yet. So I would say that's the failure I've learned from the most. I definitely have more empathy for people.
Yeah.
And on some levels. But people going through a hard time in their personal life, I can relate. I might not agree with why they're going through a tough time.
Yeah.
And I can point out the reasons why they've reached this point in their life, but I can empathize with them. And maybe I don't know everything that's going on. I might see the tip of the iceberg, which will happen to me. People saw the tip of the iceberg. They had no idea what was happening behind the scenes. And so,
Mhm.
I'd say I have more empathy,
Right.
and more hope. People definitely reach out. There's still good in the world. And I think it helped me realize to be more positive force.
Yeah. You know, I've not had personal experience, with any of that, but as an outsider, having a couple of sisters go through that, um, you know, kind of from that perspective, it definitely opened up my eyes as well to just like, I mean, there's always more going on, things that I would never know to really understand the full extent. But I think along those same lines, it's like to be way more, accepting, supportive of the people in those situations. I think maybe before that, and not saying everybody's like this, but maybe too quick to throw that in a that failure category, like, oh, like how could they let that happen type of thing, or just just a very generic not understanding type of, oh, that's over here in the bad category. But to see it happen through some families, and I've seen other extended family as well, to really, I think you hit on the head, is to be very empathetic for them, even though I don't know what they're going through. It's a lot, and that's gonna, I think, affect them for, I mean, it's a big change point in their life and the direction they choose to go from there, and where they turn. I've seen that just be huge thing. And so, yeah, I don't know, is there any advice you'd give for anybody out there like going through that, besides the empathy piece? Like, where'd you turn? Is that where you started getting back into rock climbing to kind of and turn to the EMT?
Definitely when I started doing EMT again, I was already certified, and then
Interesting.
I thought I can stay home and wallow in my misery, right? And find various coping mechanisms, or I can go do something. So I started at the local station. I was useless. I was completely useless, but but I forced myself to get out and do something positive. I started attending church more regularly, at least being an active participant, right? Not just sitting in the back waiting to leave as soon as it was over. So I decided just to go do something, right? Just be positive and to embrace everything positive around you. Right? I mean, you have enough negativity in your own life that you're probably creating as well. So to reach out and not be afraid to reach out. Most people have a support system. You don't have to dust it off, and it might be a little rusty, but most people have a support system, either through work, friends, family, church group, etc. So to reach out. And I think that's a big step for a lot of people when they're going through something traumatic, is to reach out. Because most of us, we think we have our stuff together. We think we're good to go. And then life hits you in the face and you realize you don't have things taken care of. And I think you realize that a lot of people are in the same boat. Everybody has their own struggles, right? No one makes it through this life untarnished. So to reach out and not be afraid of that.
No, thanks. I think that's great.
I love that. I think that's. Go ahead, Chaz.
No, I was saying, if anybody's out there, I'd say community. Like, who's your community? Turn to those people. Like SeaBass's is recommending here. I think you'd be surprised, like he's saying, how much hope and how much support people will be willing to pour in and help you. Like, I've seen, for some of those examples, like I've had sisters have to help each other in ways for hours, helping with kids because of certain scenarios, for years, like to kind of have that selflessness to aid in it, as a very physical thing, to give them some time and space and whatever they needed, as well as things I've seen, other family members do. And that's just great to see that people have that in their heart to open up and assist. So, yeah, what were you gonna say, Joseph?
Yeah, and it sounds like you're your advice getting through that and those low points is to be that person, right? Reflect that. Don't reflect the crisis and the craziness and the suffering as much as the positive. So I liked what you said as well. When you mentioned, seek out those sources of positivity and kind of pull those in, absorb those, right? Because the natural state when you're at that low point is chaos, misery, disorder. And when you tie in a lot of emotional pain with that, it's excruciating. You can really respond to that type of trauma and change life. And so combating that with positivity. But I've got to ask like a follow-up then would be, did you find, how long did you kind of feel yourself not being on that positive side of things? I think most people feel like they can just choose to be happy and just deal with it. So how long did you feel like you were kind of absorbing and using that support system and getting that positivity before you really had that positivity and empathy for others?
Well, it was a while. Even to this day,
or
years
is it a
later,
process? I don't know.
I think it's definitely a process. I think it's dependent upon the individual and their personality, their circumstances. I turned myself a strong individual, but I wasn't strong enough for that.
Gotcha.
And so there's some days I still think, man, I'm a failure. I totally messed up. And then those days I still reach out to people or some positive thing to remind myself that life is good. There's still good out there. It's not all dark and nasty. And those days are fewer and fewer. They still occur.
Yeah.
Still days of self-doubt, wondering. But definitely in the beginning.
Come on, you're not perfect yet.
I'm working on it.
Yeah.
I know, but definitely in the beginning. Constant struggle, constant darkness. I'm going to use an analogy. Constant darkness. Trying to make the world right again. And it's difficult. And it's difficult because in your world, right? If your world fell apart, and yet life moves on. The world keeps spinning.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has their own problems, their own crises, their own triumphs. And so it's very difficult when your world collapses to look around and see other people keep on trucking, right? They're still moving along, still getting married, having babies, having jobs, having crises of their own. So that can be a double-edged sword. That can inspire hope that, hey, you're just a small little thing in this world. And it's going to be okay. Or the other end would be, wow, nobody really cares about me because they have their own stuff going on. So it's also important. Anger. Right.
Yeah.
It's also important when you see someone. So to circle back to what we said previously, when you're the one hurting for whatever reason, if you're in a place through that pain, or if you're not, if you're in a good place in your life, to be aware, be cognizant of those who might be hurting and suffering, because they do need a positive, something in their life at that moment.
That's great. Be a positive, not even for your own benefit. Be that for others initially, and you'll find the benefit.
Right.
That's great. I like it.
Hey,
can I switch gears? No, I can't. No. You were getting the shovel and you're like, I hit something, but I'm going to keep digging. Keep digging, brother.
Now, there are many times where, you wonder, what am I doing? Life can't go on. The world is fine without me, whatever. I'll never be happy again. Life will never be normal again.
Lowest of the low.
And people reach out. Again, people do. And it's the weirdest, smallest things. Hello, how are you doing? Someone lets you in traffic, like the dumbest little things. Like just make your day. Because you're looking for it. You're seeking for it, right? You're seeking for something good in the world. things that now, sadly, I take for granted, right? Because my life is better. I'm more normal.
Sure.
I used to seek and crave for any type of kindness, any positive validation. That things were normal, the world was okay, that I was okay being who I am with my current state of affairs. So those small little things, they just normalize you. They make you feel like you're part of the world again. So there you go. That's my plug.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, I like it.
I'm glad I shut up and let you talk.
I think it brings a lot of context, because I think those, maybe even giving those small things, they're like, oh, I'm just going to let this person in. I'm going to say hi to this guy. These very small things that they may, they could, on the flip side, they could be like, yeah, these are meaningless. Maybe I'll stop doing them, but don't, right? Those things help other people, and we don't even know how many ways. So,
right. And they don't have to necessarily be in this deep, dark crisis, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there nothing negative is coming from being positive, right?
That's right. There you go.
So there you go.
Add, don't take away. Interesting.
Yeah.
I like it. There's definitely more conversation there. I want to totally change directions. And I tried to do this earlier before you just mentioned that awesome perspective. But I want to know if there's a book that you would refer people to, either in that instance and what you went through, or just in general. We have an audience that I think is very eclectic in terms of reading and what they're pursuing. And I know that's Chaz and I definitely. So is there a book? Is there something that you would throw out to people that's just a good read?
In context of what we're discussing, or something completely unrelated?
It's up to you.
Yep.
I know you're well read. I know this.
I would say The True Believer.
Okay.
I will look up the author for you.
Sure. Yeah. Give us some.
So it talks about mass movements and people's need for identity, and people who follow along for various reasons, either that be religious or political or in a familial setting. Why people follow. So the author is Eric Hoffer, and the book is called The True Believer: Thoughts on the Nature of Mass Movements.
Ooh, that's got to be added to the book review list, Chaz, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely.
I'm interested
right now.
And it was written by a man who lived in the early 20th century. So he witnessed World War I, the Depression, World War II. And much of the book focuses on socialism, fascism, and the Nazi Party. But then he brings it to Stalin and communism. He brings it to other folks, religious movements, etc. And just what it takes to be a believer, why people try to find their identity, why they try to join organizations.
Yeah.
The life cycle of organizations or movements that fail, movements that succeed, and what individuals can do to facilitate that. So, there you go.
No, it sounds like an amazing history, approach, perspective on society, but on individuals, right? It's the collective, but it's individuals, because it's talking about those movements and those influencers and outcomes. And would you say it also it talks about kind of the human condition, the human psyche, and why there are needs there? Or is that less of it?
No, it touches on the human psyche and what the validation people seek through organizations, through movements. People who are, if they're satisfied with the status quo, people who are not satisfied with the status quo and why they want to change the status quo. That can be for financial motivation, personal fulfillment. They feel they're unheard, they feel their voice is unheard, or they see some type of injustice. I mean, we see that today. I'm going to bring it to the current topics at hand. You know, a lot of race riots here, a lot of in the United States.
Yeah.
Defund the police, or a lot of police on
A
brutality,
lot of
for
movements,
example.
period.
A lot of movements, right? A lot
Yeah.
of movements, political movements. We had a presidential election. You know, the federal election system was the highest authority in the land, was decided upon by the masses. And so I think you can take this book and the approaches it brings to even our current day. Why people vote for this candidate versus this candidate. Why this movement's tied to this identity, not that identity, and the strengths and weaknesses people use. So it's fascinating, and it makes you reflect why you belong to movements or don't, why you believe what you believe. Are you the true believer? Are you there for the social reasons? What benefits do you derive from them? When you want to tap out of your movement, if you're part of a movement or organization.
Nice.
Anyway, fascinating book.
It's on the list. I can tell you that. It's been a fascinating conversation. We're going to do it again. Really appreciate you setting aside some time there, SeaBass.
Thank you for spending time with us and joining the Extraordinary Millennial Gentleman podcast. If you like this video, please hit subscribe to get more future content. And give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Leave some comments below. We'll see you soon.